Hey, now. Anybody hear me? What about now, Jonathan? Here we go. From 720 to 360. Still weird. There we go. Sort of choppy. Definitely can't buy that program until we get that fiber internet thing. You might have to recharge your computer. Thank you. Let's try that. 144.
Everything else is canceled. You can cancel Chrome.
I'm not going to do that. Is the video still uploading?
Yeah. And it's uploading at 1080.
There should be a pause button, which it essentially functions like a pause button. Let's see if that does.
Disagree with that.
Let's see if that does anything.
I'm sure that'll do anything. I forgot that you were doing that. I forgot.
Yeah?
Hit that refresh button. You'll be better.
Buffering. Why is it always on Nightwish? It's not Nightwish. See if we can graduate from 360 now.
I thought you just put it on 240.
I did. See if we can graduate from... Let's go up to 360. It's not called whacking anymore, is it?
Can you hear us? Cut your hair, hippie. Oh, Ben did cut his hair.
Who?
Oh, you guys can hear us? Type 22 if you can hear us. Perfect. Good. I'm glad you guys can hear us. They can hear us and they can see us fine. Okay? Who feels like they're on the Truman Show? Type Truman. Maybe some people can't spell that. Put a T in the thing there if you've ever felt like you're in the Truman Show.
Listen to more Ghost.
Ecstatics. Always catching me right before I go to bed.
I can see your pores. It's so clear.
That's gross. I have no pores.
Shout out to the big homie Vin.
Look, there's a couple people that feel like they're in the Truman Show.
Like, seriously. I just, the Truman Show is an interesting idea. Didn't even get the notification. Nobody ever gets notifications for us. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Ever checked out Corrosion of Conformity? No, not yet. But I wonder about the Matrix sometime. And I have the bell on. I know, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know, man.
No more Nutella, punk? Vin got me some cake, this chocolate cake from Longhorn.
Actually,
It was so good.
Mr. David Bovey, I think we need your services again, my man. We've got to come up with a Patreon pick show buffer beginner thing.
You know what? I think that the people like David and stuff that like, you know, and Solomon Kane and stuff like that, they should have points.
Okay. Yeah, I just watched this thing from what's that guy's name? The black dude, the physicist.
I just saw Ray Lewis, so I don't know who.
The physicist. I forgot his name. The famous physicist guy. Is it Michael Eric Dyson? No, it's not. Hold on. Stand by.
Everybody's saying Vin.
Famous black dude.
Yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. There it is. Okay, so he was saying that statistically speaking, it's more likely than not that we're in a simulation.
Yeah.
Like he said something
But
about
what was the discussion about the kid?
Well,
Yeah.
that some kid in the basement. Like we're just a game for some kid in the basement. So that was interesting. It's like because we have technology that can create virtual worlds in consoles and stuff like that, and then you figure 100 years from now what could we come up with as far as technology for simulated reality,
Right.
and then it's like, okay, well, what if another civilization that we don't know about had already evolved like well past our capabilities. And so they would then create a world, and then if the world is billions of years old, then how do you what gives you the impression that we're in the actual base reality? And he said the odds are that we wouldn't be. So I thought that was an interesting perspective. I see it as a perfect tool to socialize people on a trial basis. What do you mean? What at a trial basis? Create the perfected individual over many simulated lifetimes. Well, that's what that's the whole point of reincarnation and stuff, right? It's like you go over and over again so you can be a perfected person.
Do you think this simulation theory was thought about before we had computers and crap?
Well, it didn't start till the 1990s, which is when, that's when people started having PCs in their house, the rise of the personal computer.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Is that what PC means? Personal computer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, it's interesting. It's an interesting idea.
So, Sori thinks we rode on dinosaurs, eh? Maybe. Maybe we did.
You do not think that.
What? What's the definition of a dinosaur? I think it's possible.
You don't think that we were riding on... They're going to think you're serious. Because you already have that, we didn't really land on the moon foolishness.
Yeah. Yeah. Johan says, God bless you, Sori and Vin.
What's up, Johan?
That's right. Put Sori first. The Flintstones is not a documentary. Dan.
Somebody has to tell you. Someone has to tell you. The wildest theory I've ever heard in my life is that there is no ultimate intelligence who constructed the DNA molecule. That's like the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life.
If the simulation theory is true, God is some punk kid and we're his Tamagotchi. Our daughter has a Tamagotchi that she's walking around the house with.
Well, somebody made a point that it's very interesting to me that these atheists will give credence to the simulation theory, which is essentially the world that we live in was created by an external intelligence. Mm-hmm. But they'll say it's some little kid in a basement. But they'll say, "Oh yeah, that's possible," and like be serious.
Right.
But they won't say that the idea of an actual divine being, well, that's crazy.
Strange.
Yeah, that's like out of this world crazy. But a kid in a basement running the entire universe as we know it, that's possible.
Yep.
Vin, explain the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. The Mandela effect is really interesting. I've got a friend that's convinced that the Mandela effect is a real thing. I'm not sure. Really? No one knows about the Anunnaki and Sumerians? Nope. Oh, is Alec here? Where's Alec?
Get him, Alec.
Where's Alec?
I saw him just emailing you.
I told him. I said, come into the fireside. Alec, call me up on Skype, buddy. Vin and Sori at Skype. You should lay off the shrooms, Vin. We were walking in the woods with the kids today. We saw some shrooms.
A lot of them.
I was like, man, I wish I knew enough to eat some of these
Ones
things.
I've never seen before. I'm like, what is this?
The belief in the universe being a simulation can be true in the natural
Alec
world.
doesn't have Skype.
The God theory requires us to believe in the supernatural. I mean, look, if you think that that's less of a leap, if you think that this universe being a simulation from a kid in a basement is less of a leap of logic than the idea that there's an eternal divine being, I mean, I don't. It's just crazy to me. It's just loco to me. I'm sorry. What's up, Jacob? Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Estevenerux.
Is consuming shrooms considered a sin?
Okay, there's Stephen Doss. Stephen Doss says I don't understand logic. Okay, Stephen Doss. So do me a favor, call me up on Skype and explain logic to me.
Okay. Oh yeah. You have your app? Everything's good? Do you need me to do anything? Do you need me to do anything?
No, Alec. We had a conversation in email, so you can call me up and talk about that.
Steven, call him now.
I don't really know about defend. I don't think we need to defend or attack it. I just think it's a very. So I'd heard about the simulation theory, but I didn't know that like people really gave it any real credence. So I'd like to talk about it because I don't really know. I didn't know that people really like were serious thinkers really thought that it was a possibility. And what's up, John? And then to hear Elon Musk and then I keep forgetting the guy's name. What's the guy's name? The black physicist guy. I forgot his name.
No, I forgot again too.
But anyway, to hear the black physicist guy say that it's more likely than not is like mind blowing to me. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Don't worry about it. Somebody will mention it.
Tell
later.
us again.
Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. The Earth is actually a pyramid.
Whoa.
Huh. Elon Musk for president. Are you guys watching Whacking after the discussion? No. Hopefully we've changed it to simulation theory. Tyson is a shrill. What's a shrill? Crispy bacon. Get it? Crispy bacon?
Oh, I didn't.
I think Descartes talked about this back in the day. Not that he was a moral dude, but he was a deep thinker, though. Descartes was a very...
Yes, did you see this one?
His morals were very consistent with his ideology, which is not what I can say for a lot of people these days.
Check out Tyson on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Isn't that what you were just listening to?
Yes.
Joe Rogan was like... He's like, basically, like, the lights are going to, go up, whatever, and then all of a sudden we're going to realize that we're in a simulation, and then they're going to be like, how long did it feel like? It was, and then we'll be like, I felt like our entire lives or whatever, and then he's like, basically, like, it's only been an hour. Like, all this hell that some of us have been through, it's only been 1 hour in a simulation.
Daniel Padgett, you're amazing, too.
You're pushing me off again. Okay, let me give this to you. Let me push this over here. Here you go.
Just watched the Rod in Christ video. Thank you. Thank Tina. She brought it to us.
Right.
So the big homie Steven said, I didn't know anything about logic. I told him to call me.
Yeah.
He's gone radio silent.
He's gone.
Here's a thought. The Bible defines sin as knowing what's right and doing it not. James 4:7. So is there a difference between knowing right and not doing it and not knowing wrong and doing it?
It didn't say not knowing. It's knowing wrong and doing it.
Of course. Kurt Cobain was a Pisces and Courtney Love was a Cancer in astrology. There's some nuance, psychological and allegorical teachings in astrology, and it doesn't revolve around fortune telling. Okay.
Well, thanks, Daniel. He likes the bandana.
I don't understand English.
English?
Take a look at just basic programming code and then look at biochemistry of all natural beings, especially DNA and RNA. That's good. No, Rajan, do me a favor and link me that thing. I'm very curious about that. Is sitting a choice or do we have to do it? It's a choice. Watch all.
Hi, Corey.
Hey.
What's up? Stephen Doss, is that the guy that was supposed to call you?
Any chance that the Bible is backwards? Jesus is a bad guy and Satan is a good one. No.
Babe, was Stephen Doss the guy that was supposed to call you?
Yeah.
He said, I have no Skype. The logic comment was just on your supposition that a supernatural being is more likely similar. Can you call us?
Well, call us.
Okay, email us, vinandsori@gmail.com.
No, just go to the thingy and email us your phone number.
Okay.
And then you can explain to me why a kid in a basement running our universe is more logical than a divine being.
Wait, somebody just said that they were on their way to bed, but they came to say hi, and I was gonna call out their name, but I lost it. Can you scroll?
Whoa! I watched the Angel of Death video. Adolf Eichmann, the man who created the Final Solution, was a neighbor of my grandpa here in Argentina. Yikes.
John wants to know if you're drinking also. Would you like the wine, sir?
No. Somebody said there's a band called Cybreed that talks about, something. You mean this band?
These people?
These individuals? These young men? We have it.
Yeah.
Watch Soaked in Bleach.
Yeah, that's the documentary. Oops, sorry guys. That's that documentary about Courtney and
Yes.
Kurt.
Yeah. Yes,
I heard it's
Alec,
pretty convincing.
A phone call will do, Alec. Of course.
Better start drinking water. I've been drinking water all day.
Good morning. At work, secretly trying to follow the discussions. Let's talk for a while. We're going to get somebody fired one of these days.
Was this supposed to be a Nightwish stream? Where is it saying that? Sorry, no, it's not. We're talking about simulation.
If you refresh it, I'm sure it'll say simulation.
You will be getting corpse paint in the mail very soon.
Oh, God. What is your... what do you think about how JWs believe only 144,000 will go to heaven and the rest will live on paradise on earth? Well, first of all, I don't think that in the final eschaton that there's going to be a difference between heaven and earth. You get Revelation 20:21, the New Jerusalem comes down to the earth, and I think that that's speaking of the marriage of heaven and earth. So the final state of the universe will be a commingling of heaven and earth. So at that point, it's a moot point. So that's my take on that. I'm actually very familiar with the Anunnaki. I would like somebody... Vin doesn't seem...
very excited about the corpse paint.
I agree, Mr. Spiral Out. I don't think that they're very... It's just very telling to me that people would be very quick to believe that a kid is... Like, literally...
Yeah.
At some level are okay with believing that a kid could be in a basement, like
I'm literally that
controlling our universe. but the idea of God is just ridiculous and stupid. Like the same people that are scoffing, ha ha ha, you believe in a fairy tale in the sky. Ha ha ha. Not like the reality of a 5-year-old in a basement. it's just, I know, it's mind-blowing to me. I'm not saying that the simulation theory is insane or ridiculous. It's just the lack of self-awareness to me is interesting. Well, Eli, call me. Gallego. Eli Gallego.
Hi,
Gallego.
Tina.
Call me, please.
Tina's on.
Why does it have to be a kid? That's true. Okay, a teenager.
Yes, atheist laugh intensifies.
Yeah. I need to know. I need somebody to call me and explain that to me. I think Jeff Sessions' Religious Liberty Task Force is absolutely fucking terrifying. I think it's terrifying.
Hello from Brazil.
Kokomo, I believe Armageddon happened already. Yeah, Alec and I are having a different conversation. I want the folks who are telling me that it's completely logically consistent to believe that a 5-year-old in a basement is running our universe, but that God isn't. I need that individual to call me and tell me how that's logically consistent. That's what I need.
Fill us in.
Fill us in.
So you can either Skype us.
Alec and I had a separate conversation. Ibrahim, I agree.
Email us, vinandsori@gmail.com. Email us your phone number.
Okay.
And we'll call you back.
Cold cuts.
What's your number? Cold cuts. Email us or find us on Skype.
Well, I just want to make sure that, because I know Gallego has, you know.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure that we're, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. We're talking about the assimilation theory.
1-800-Vin and Sori.
That's true. We should buy one of those numbers. The leap necessary to accept the simulation is much more aggressive a disconnect than that of divinity. The idea that the complexity of experience can be simulated on a sensory base alone is nuts. I agree. 1-800-Vin and Sori. 722. Not for you. Not for you.
Not for you. Is it bad to question the Bible sometimes? No, that's not bad.
I question the Bible all the time. Is that okay? I hope so. God requires a supernatural world and the simulation doesn't. Well, what's the difference? Tell me what the practical difference is. Gallego, why don't you just call me? Just call me, Gallego, and then we can have the discussion.
Heretic. Okay, where's my phone so I can see if we get any emails?
Well, I wanted to talk to Gallego.
Yeah, but
Gallego doesn't want to talk to me.
Cold cuts is messaging, but he said something fast. I watch all your videos while playing video games.
Simulation is still nested in rules. God isn't. Well, the kid outside of the simulation isn't nested in rules. How could you know that? I don't speak English. How the hell do you not speak English, but you type English?
I don't get what's wrong with Sparky. He looks fine. He used to be like really, really vibrant if you see some of the original pictures, but he's not. He's like dying out.
Yeah, Melton, you were like the first person I said you should call in, and you were like, yeah. This is some X-Men shit. All right, so I guess we're talking to cold cuts. Thanks, Dirk. I'm going to try to see if...
Might need a 1 before... Oh.
I'm going to try to see if we can get up to 480.
Dirk. My boy shaved his head. Good for you, Vin.
Oh, I see, Gallego. Makes sense.
So what did you say? Did you say call or don't call?
Are you guys legit Christians? I hope so, Thunderous Predator. What makes a person a legit criticism?
If you if you have something to say on the topic, you email us, vinandsori@gmail.com, and send us your phone number. Or you can find us on Skype. How is that? Just like Vin and Sori?
Yeah, it's just Vin and Sori. Cold Cuts, do you have Skype?
Am I calling? Or am I waiting for...
Cold Cuts,
Alec.
Cold Cuts. I'm here to challenge you. All right, Cold Cuts is here to challenge me. All right. Put him on speaker, por favor.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, is this Cold Cuts?
Yeah, this is Cold Cuts.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
My name's Sean, and I've been call me Cold Cut.
All right, Sean, so you're here to challenge me, brother. Go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, the contrarian in me, even though I agree with the pragmatic view of sort of things, is that, yes, it could be all run out of a teenager's basement, mostly because, how do I explain this and not sound like a complete babbling idiot? In simulation theory, a holographic principle states that infinite amount of information could be stored in a finite space. Okay. And this is kind of what quantum theory works on. So you can have a defined point in space that has an infinite number of information in it. Now, the assumption of it could all just be run by a computer program in some kid's basement can be misinterpreted. That's mostly just a way to get people talking about it or to get headlines. But it's not wrong, because within that realm of in that paradigm, so to speak, if infinite amount of information could be stored in a finite place, and the universe has an infinite, boundless nature that we don't understand, eventually, just through probability, you're going to reach a point going upwards and upwards that in some universe somewhere, at some molecular structure, you happen to be inside of a kid's computer in a basement somewhere. That's kind of the gist of it. It's not literally that everything right now, inside the black nothingness, everything is organized on this kid's computer. That's not what it's saying. It's mostly a kind of a mental exercise in trying to grasp a quantum mechanical concept and how we view the universe and how it's kind of laid out in front of us. That's basically what I have to say on it. So, yes, I agree with it. Do I 100% subscribe to it? No. I have a Protestant view on it, and that's kind of the theory that it is. So I don't know what you guys think about it or to it.
Well, the physical universe being able to house an infinite source of information fits very nicely with our worldview. Where exactly, though, is the challenge to me?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't assume what you know or don't know. What I can promise you is that I'm not going to kiss your ass, and that if we find something we can disagree on, we can debate over it.
Well, you said you called to challenge me, so I'm waiting on what you're challenging me on. What are you challenging me on?
Okay. Why is it that you assume a Christian viewpoint with your esoteric ideals? Because I understand a lot of the allegorical and a lot of the wisdom in what you say. However, what I don't agree with is how come you're coming from it with a Christian viewpoint? You put up these videos saying these are two Christians that are trying to understand atheism, Satanism, and stuff like that. However, a lot of the view views that you espouse don't come from any Orthodox Christian or Protestant revisionist type of teachings.
Like what? Tell me one of these views that I espouse that doesn't come from Orthodox.
Well, number one, the idea that number one, like Armageddon, that it's already happened. Like the whole Christian viewpoint is based upon ascending to a higher plane of existence once Armageddon happens.
No, it's not. What are you talking about?
Not?
No.
Well, yes, it's not.
Not at all.
Okay.
Where'd you get that idea?
That's an old idea of the Torah. That's kind of how the Old Testament is founded. That we're going to die and we're going to wait on the Messiah to come back and pull us into the next into heaven.
What does that have to do with Armageddon? Is Armageddon?
Well, Armageddon is an idea.
What's the idea?
From a Christian viewpoint of hell on earth, and we're going into a different dimension because hell, in a Christian viewpoint, and heaven are separate realms from earth. When Armageddon happens, there's going to be no humanity left at all.
Okay. You're talking about a very specific understanding of Revelation that honestly is about 200 years old in a 2,000-year history of Christianity. Secondly,
right.
That scenario that you just talked about is nowhere mentioned in the Torah.
It's actually mentioned many times.
Okay, what verse? What book in the Torah?
Okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong. However, my view of most monotheistic religions' view of Armageddon is that it has not happened yet. It is a far-off thing, right?
No.
It's something that we're waiting on.
Nope.
For Jesus to come and save us. It's not...
No. Armageddon is a very specific place in a very specific geography that has to do with a war that happened around 70 AD. So I'm a partial preterist, and there's lots of folks in church history, Jonathan Edwards, Matthew Henry, etc. I could go on, Lightfoot. Lots of folks in church history were preterists who didn't futurize Armageddon.
Okay.
So a partial preterist view, especially when you talk about Revelation, means that the vast majority of the prophecies spoken of in Revelation have to do with the Jewish wars that Josephus described in his Wars of the Jews in 70 AD, having to do with Titus, Vespasian, and all those guys.
Okay.
So for you to say that that's definitional of Orthodox Christianity, your understanding of Armageddon is definitional of Orthodox Christianity, is just not true.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. What else am I going to challenge you on? I don't know. I don't understand why it comes from a Christian viewpoint. I guess I am uneducated as far as your viewpoint, which I would consider a revisionist Protestant, from my limited understanding.
Yeah, I'm actually a pretty boring Protestant. I haven't revised anything, my man.
Well, I mean, we could say that you're a literal Protestant because, it depends on the church. For example, a lot of Protestant churches are Orthodox in more of a Catholic literal vein. Protestant, in the most literal definition, is if you take the word of the Bible, right? You are the one who is interpreting the Bible. You find the Spirit of God through understanding these allegorical things and interpreting. So yes, I guess you can say that you are a fundamentalist Protestant. If that's your view, do you solely think that your way to God, your pathway to God, is through the meditation on the words of the Bible, specifically, with no outside sources. Is that your view?
I'm not sure I understand your question. I mean, ultimately, knowledge of God comes when the Spirit of God communicates the truths of God to your spirit. And of course, as a Protestant, I believe that the Bible is the sole infallible means of that communication.
It's the sole infallible meaning. Okay. So, why is it just the Bible then? Because in the medieval time, the only thing that was really written, because there was no written languages for the priestly class to actually use. Everything was written in Latin. Okay? And the priestly classes, their contemplation of all of this allegorical wisdom that was passed down from the Old Testament, their attitude was to assemble all of these things into one book with revisionism and different saints. It's gone through entire Christian history. So my question is
tell me about
Protestant.
Hold on, brother, because I got other people that got to call me, so we got to cut this short a second. But when you say revisionism, okay, give me the specific date and the person of the who revised the Bible.
Revised the Bible? Well, King James, for one. That's translated into a different language, correct?
That's not That's not a revision. That's a translation.
Okay, well, it is. It has been revised. The King James version was revised.
So, revised from.
For a fact.
Okay, revised from what?
Certain things, they wanted to downplay some use of the other cultures, like the Coptic cultures, the Jewish cultures, and Catholic wording, literal wording. It was altered in the King James version during that era of Protestantism.
Well, the Protestants already had the Geneva Bible long before the King James, so it's not like the King James was a Protestant enterprise. As a matter of fact, the Puritans were very skeptical of the King James Bible because they already had the Geneva Bible. I just think you need to do a little bit more research and come with a little bit more specificity if you're going to make claims like that.
Okay. Well, honestly, it was probably my mistake saying I'm going to challenge you. However, I don't want to waste anybody else's time, and thank you for talking to me. Hopefully, I can come back with something later.
I appreciate you, my man.
All right, take it easy.
Have a good one. Good conversation. Thank you so much to Cold Cuts for talking to a brother. It's not easy. 173 people in the room.
Oh, I know. And some people are like, I would never get on.
Yeah.
I would never do such a thing. Okay, honey.
Who's next? Who is Alec?
Go on Skype.
Okay, Skype.
We've got a couple of people that are saying that they're trying to send their information through to you.
Where's my guy? Where's Alec? I don't see anybody.
They said that it's pending request.
I don't see it. Let's see, I've got 6 chats going on. Contacts, highlights. I don't see it.
Try again.
Can somebody just call me?
Well, they can. Yeah, they can. They can email us their phone number, and we can call them.
Well, where is Alec? That's what I want to know.
Alec. He wants to call you. Vin, if you got other people, go ahead and let them do first. I still got 2 chicken tendies left.
Who's that, Alec?
Yeah. You're mocking me again. You know what?
Who's next?
You're so mean to me.
I'm not mean.
You are.
Well, I'm sure you'll have a bunch of
you should love me.
SJWs
love
to.
Me. Love me.
All right. See. Skype active now. No, I don't see anybody. Is there somebody else? Oh, Majestic.
Cold cuts. Say what you want. At least I have the balls to call. It's
That's
true.
right.
So many people won't dare to call.
Wait, no.
What?
Wait, don't do Skype for business, Majestic Demon Lord.
Is this Damon?
Ask him.
Damien?
Damon Sage? No, I don't think so.
No, Damien G. Anyway, have you tried the mango one? The mango of the mics? Oh my gosh.
I got something to say.
So good.
I love Shwayet. I'm about to Shwayet Arabi. So, there you are.
Jay, I got something to say. I love you guys. We love you too. My number is in your email, Kevin Bowden.
Disney World is better than Disneyland. Cosign. I absolutely agree with that. I'm going to look for, was it Majestic Demon Lord?
I sent my number through Gmail.
Who is that? Was that Majestic Demon Lord?
Okay, we've got, yeah, I think so. And then we also got this guy, Neil Frost.
Okay, Majestic Demon Lord. Are you Majestic Demon Lord in Skype? What are you in Skype, sir?
Oh, gosh, you're having a mango one right now? I got stuck.
Hey, I think there's me up.
Okay. Did you answer?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I said boo, and then it said he's typing.
You're so cute.
I don't have Skype.
Okay.
Finn, any interest in apologetic Q&As? Sure, Sean, go for it. Oh. My bad.
We're idiots. I'm sorry.
I failed you again, my friend. For fuck's sake. I'm sorry.
For fuck's sake. Oh, man.
Yes, I did see that email.
Can you guys Skype people who are from other countries? I'm new to technology stuff.
Yes, we can. Thank you for making reactions great again. Thanks, Donald Trump. I appreciate you.
Matthew, show your legs. I still need proof.
Please stop fucking up our country. Yes, Cold Cuts, what's your point? That's a very disputed textual variant. I agree. Appreciate you, big homie. So he messages me and then he says he can't talk.
Yeah, because you failed him. First time I heard you guys swear. Ha ha
ha. He hasn't seen any of our videos then.
Yeah, no. Folly, I love you guys.
Cold Cuts. Cold Cuts, that has nothing to do with Protestantism. That's called textual criticism, and everybody does textual criticism. Jerome did textual criticism, and he was the one that came up with the Latin Vulgate, which would predated Protestantism.
Thanks, Joseph.
Vin, you never reply to my emails. By never, I mean... Twice. Vin, never apologize. You're almost never wrong. Yeah. I agree. The topic that I'm attempting to talk about is simulation theory.
Kevin, let me know when I'm able to get a call. I need to mute the stream to avoid echo effects. Did you get Kevin's number?
Oh, do I need Kevin's number, or is he Skyping a brother?
No, I don't think he has Skype.
Okay, so am I calling him?
Yeah, we can call with mine. Just pull up the number, or...
I don't know what his number is. Did he message me the number?
I think he said it through the email.
Did he email me the... Ooh, Egregious Humanity. Egregious Humanity is one of my favorite... Oh, yes. Oh, and we're going to have a simulation discussion. There's his number, babe.
Okay, hold on.
Egregious Humanity is one of my favorite name titles.
Which one of these? We've got 3 of them.
The one that says Kevin.
Don't say names.
Well, he's Kevin in the thing.
You should just acclimate yourself to not doing that.
Okay. Flat Earth. When is the Vin shirt coming out? Pretty soon.
I'm I'm going to wear that friggin' thing all over town.
Cold cuts. Textual variants have nothing to do with Protestantism, and King James had nothing to do with that. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, is in Jerome's Latin Vulgate and also in the King James. The earth is a triangle.
Daryl Wood. Email us, vinandsori@gmail.com. Hey. Wait a minute. Is this Kevin?
Oh, you're not supposed to say his name.
This is Sori.
Okay.
And here's Vin. Hold on. Let me put you on speaker. Hello? You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, big homie?
We still got to have our discussion on the human condition at some point.
Yes.
But for this discussion, I want to pose that the simulation theory is just as probable as odd theory. And it is because of the fact that...
Wait. I'm sorry. Simulation theory is just as probable as what now?
As a God theory. And
okay.
The reason why is because if you take some being more intelligent than us, then you never know what they could simulate because of the fact that we can simulate things, extremely complex physics on computers already today.
Have we been able to simulate consciousness?
We have not been able to simulate consciousness. However, we have been able to simulate asteroid trajectories. They already have plans in place on an asteroid that will glaze past the Earth in 2027.
Yeah, but...
They know that if it goes through a certain window, then it'll hit. They'll know exactly where it's going to hit off the coast of California.
Yeah, but in order for your simulation theory to work, you'd have to be able to simulate consciousness, wouldn't you?
You could, but you could also simulate some sort of artificial consciousness, like in games today. Depending on the scenario, you can have games that they have different lines that they can say depending on the given situation.
Yeah, but the people in those games are not aware of themselves.
No, but they haven't used AI technology in gaming yet today. However, we have robots that have been invented that act very human-like.
Well, I'm not talking...
Is the amount of that they can simulate.
Yeah, the problem, though, is that I'm not saying can we invent something that acts human. What I'm saying is, have we ever even remotely come close to simulating consciousness, yes or no?
No, we haven't, but if you take a species from another planet, for example, that has intelligence far greater than ours, then it is possible to theorize that it could happen.
Okay, and
now, I don't believe in either theory. I don't really believe that we are in a simulation, and I'm not going with the Christian theory either.
Yeah, I think the problem when you say that it's just as likely that a kid in a basement is running the universe versus God, that you're saying that those are equivalent. The problem is we have never been able to simulate consciousness. And so I think that statement falls flat on its face by that alone.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have never been able to definitively prove God.
Where'd consciousness come from?
Consciousness, we don't know, but yet at the same time, if there is a God, we don't know how God came to be either.
Isn't it true?
Two very unexplained
possibilities that we do not have the intelligence to actually examine objectively.
Isn't it true that only consciousness can produce consciousness?
I do not think so.
Okay, give me an example where something non-conscious produced something that was conscious.
Well, I think that I believe the theory that there are animals or some sort of life forms growing in volcanoes and in other habitats that humans could never even remotely think about living in. And they do believe that it is possible that the organic materials down there has created those species.
Okay. Thanks, man. We got other people wanting to call. Have a good day.
You too, man.
Have a good one.
Nice talking to you guys.
Cool. All right. Who's up next?
Okay. So there's a couple of them. Where are we? Hold on. I want to call. Hi, Becky. Okay. So you had. Hold on a second. Did you already do this guy?
Yeah, that was.
What about this one?
I'm pretty sure it was the guy we just got done talking to.
Okay, this one. There's that, and then there's also this.
There's no phone number there. All right, let's try that one.
Okay.
Stream topic.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
Vin's legs are clearly robotic spider legs.
And then the other thing is you got to keep checking Skype because whoops.
I don't have to check anything.
Because I don't have Skype on my phone. I don't have any space.
Oh, okay. I've got Skype. Oh, okay. So when is... Okay, so you're going to call that guy? Babe?
Oh, yeah. Here, let me see this.
My God, man, call me. M Def fan? Is that Megadeth fan? I like that last guy. Yeah, he was a good dude, a good brother. Is this a fireside? Yes, it's a fireside.
Hello. You got it. This is Sori. Or this is Vin. No, this is Vin. Okay, hold on. Let me put you on speaker.
I want to call him, but I'm sick.
All right. Here you are.
Okay, so there was a game I played that really fits with the simulation theory called Soma, in which some guy got in a car accident and he had his brain scanned so that they could see what was going on. And then later in the game, you wake up and you have no idea where you are, and everything is really, really weird and awkward and strange. And as the game goes on, you discover that you are a robot, but you are being sent on a mission to launch something that they called the Ark, which basically you learn throughout the course of the game that your consciousness has been put in there with every other consciousness on Earth to be launched in the event that there is an cataclysmic Armageddon on the planet. And when you get there, it's really fucked because you watch the satellite leave and you're trapped in the robot body. But then once it gets up there, I guess, at the end of the game, you are then walking through the simulation that was created for your consciousness to exist in.
Whoa. Well, number one, thank you for ruining the game for me.
Spoiler!
You sucker.
Sounds like a fun one, though.
Okay, so and you're saying that you think that's replicatable.
I think it could be replicatable if certain parameters were met.
Like what?
First, we would have to perfect artificial intelligence.
Do you think that that's possible? See, I don't think that that's possible.
Science fiction wise, I do believe it is very, very possible. If you look at things like Star Trek and other things like that, they managed to make AIs, but there's never really any real science given to the pseudoscience of the artificial intelligences in those shows. Star Wars, you never really understand why 3PO has the artificial intelligence he does. You just know he does. The same with Data in Star Trek. And it's never really explained other than their desires and what they want.
Right.
And in order to totally make something an artificial intelligence, I think it would have to understand that it's intelligent, one, but two, it would have to develop a consciousness on its own to ignore the fact that it's an artificial intelligence to do its own things.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about, is the concept of self-awareness. Like, I don't think that that's something that can be replicated, because I think that springs from the divine. Which, if you have a worldview that discounts divinity, then you're going to continue to try to create self-awareness in something. But I don't think self-awareness is possible to create.
No, and that's fair enough. That's the problem with it. I just know that you had mentioned something about simulation theory, and then hearing conversations about simulation, it kind of jogged my memory about the plot line of that game and the conflicts that it would cause, even if you were to transfer somebody's brain, if that is where consciousness would be, there would still be a conflict even then on if you would want to do what you were supposed to be doing, even as an artificial intelligence. Would you want to send your actual consciousness, intelligence, and whatnot away?
Do you believe that consciousness is located in the brain?
I believe that our consciousness is located with our soul, but I also believe that souls can live multiple lifetimes.
Okay, so you do believe in a soul?
I do believe in a soul, yes.
Okay. What are you? Are you a Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, spiritual person?
I am a Celtic pagan.
Okay. So what are so we're watching, forgive my ignorance here, because I'm about to ask you some stupid questions.
No, you're good.
We're watching Vikings right now, so they worship Odin and all that. Like, so who are the divinities in that worldview?
Mine is a neo-paganistic belief. We don't follow the old gods, at least I don't. I have a friend that does. So if you want to know more about the ancient way things were done, I'd have to put you in contact with him if I was able to get his okay on that. I basically believe that there are divinities in place that do not necessarily reveal themselves to you, but you feel their influence through life. And your soul, when you die, is like a sleep. It's like a dream. So if you live a good life and you pass away, the dream you live when you sleep your final sleep will be a good dream. If you did an equal number of good and bad things, you will have, basically life when you sleep. And if you were a shitty person, you have shitty nightmares for the rest of eternity.
Whoa. All right, my man, I appreciate you.
Not a problem.
Have a good one.
You as well.
Bye. We got lots of callers, that was pretty interesting about the video game.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded like something that we would play, but now we can't play it because this freaking guy.
Okay, our email address is vinandsori@gmail.com.
All right, let's get Alec. Get Alec on the phone.
Okay, do you have his number? Or did he not let you have his number?
No, he never gave me that. He's like, you're a freaking creeper, dude. Nobody
wants your number. Okay, so how are you going to contact him?
I don't know.
You're going to have to do something. Skype us or some way.
Skype us, Alec.
You're freaking him out. Get Alec on the horn. Spoiled like no other game I ever heard.
Get Alec on the horn. Alec is like the
Okay, babe, can you update people on what's going on here?
The agnostic jihadist here.
Yep.
This is I can't find you. It's babe. Type Vin and
with the space.
Space Sori.
Yikes. Vin and space Sori.
Vin, go deep in the
that's
ruach.
VIN.
In the ruach stuff.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Go.
There you go.
I asked Vin about the religious. Liberty Task
then
Force.
There's Anthony Flanagan.
As a programmer, I would say that the current consensus is that creating something self-aware would be really bad. I agree. If you buy in a predestination, then we are in a simulation. I don't know how that works. How do you mean?
People are making fun of me.
If you question everything, then how'd you come to a conclusion?
Somebody was saying, if this is a simulation, then what reality is the simulation based off? Can you hear me?
No, it wouldn't shake my faith. Wait, say that again?
They said if this is a simulation is based off some type of reality. So which reality is this simulation based off?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't believe we're in a simulation. Oh. There's Alec.
He sent you his phone number?
He sent me his number.
Oh.
What did Floki say? Ragnar loves me.
Yep.
All right, go ahead. That's the number, babe.
Okay, just click it.
Yeah.
Because it's Alec. You can
It's Alec.
Just go for it.
Call my buddy.
Yeah.
Call my buddy.
Hello.
Hello, is this Alec?
Yeah, I'm here to talk to Sparky.
He didn't even call for you, Vin. Here, Sparky. I'm going to give you to Sparky. Go ahead, say what's up.
You're the worst people on the face. Give me back the phone.
Oh, Vin's all offended because you called for Sparky and not him. Here you go. Talk to your buddy.
I don't need Alec. Forget him.
Oh, his feelings are hurt, Alec.
Hello?
Okay, what are we talking about, big guy? You put me on mute, babe.
Oh, no, it muted?
What are we talking about?
You were talking about the Noah's Ark thing and creationism. That's what we were talking about.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so just for some context, it was in the last fireside I asked you a question in chat, something along the lines of, do you take the story of Noah's Ark to be literal, as in Genesis? And you answered yes. And I just got done watching your layer reaction video. And you said something along the lines of, science must inform faith for evidence, and then faith must inform science for morality. So I just wanted to ask you, like, do you think the science should inform your faith there when it comes to teaching creationism and things of that nature? Because I think that sometimes that lack of applying science to faith will lead to other more dire consequences, such as in the cases of like stem cell research or reproductive rights, or very unscientific claims tend to get made under the guise of faith.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the reproductive question, there are atheists who are on the side of evangelicals with that question. So I don't see the logical connection there. We were talking about the flood, and you were saying, do I think that modern science confirms the flood or whatever? And I said, it's not relevant to the narrative of the passage because those were not the questions that the original audience was asking. The original audience wasn't worried about, what some geologist in the 21st century thinks of Genesis 6. Then you asked me... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Then you asked me that, should creationism be taught in school? Right? I mean, wasn't that the question?
Along those lines, yes. Or do you find it to be, mutually exclusive or not with scientific teaching?
No, I don't find those things to be mutually exclusive at all.
So you don't find teaching that the Earth is 6,000 years old and modern science to be inconsistent with each other?
Well, again, the Bible doesn't say the Earth is 6,000 years old. I don't know if you and I had this conversation or whoever, but the Bible doesn't say the Earth is 6,000 years old. And as far back as Augustine was saying that it's very possible that the universe is ages and ages and ages of years old, which is way longer than 6,000 years. So you're talking about a very specific brand of evangelical fundamentalism that sprung up as a fearful response to the Scopes trial, and then you're.
And I want to say it's very, very small, considering some recent People data. Around 30% of Americans believe that the Earth is less than 10,000 years old. I want to call that small and insignificant.
Okay, but when you're asking me creationism, if you're saying should the biblical worldview be taught alongside of, naturalism, I say I don't see how those things are mutually exclusive. There's nothing in the Bible that says that the Earth is 6,000 years old.
But some people would look at it and say that it does. And science classes for science and not for teaching faith. If you think it's okay to teach them side by side, then why not also just include the idea that the great Juju at the bottom of the sea also created them, or Yahweh, or Baal, or Quetzalcoatl, or any other god that you want to say created the earth with any other creation myth? Why not teach every single one of them in science class?
Why would I not? Well, I mean, I could ask you the same question. Because
it's a science class, not a mythology class.
Okay, so what makes you believe that you have the definitive proof that there was no divine actor in that kicked off the evolutionary process?
I don't.
You don't. You have a belief.
No, I'm stating that the empirical evidence suggests otherwise, and that's some of the claims made by those who push forward the religious propaganda.
No,
have evidence writing on their claims, and then the evidence supports their claims.
Alec, are you honestly trying to tell me that religious people, especially as it regards this question, are the only people that engage in propaganda?
No.
Okay. You're not trying to tell me that these folks who come up with these ideas and theories and curricula, you're not trying to tell me that they don't have an agenda.
It's an objective naturalistic worldview to be considered a pernicious agenda by your definition.
I didn't say it was pernicious. I just said you're not saying that these people don't have an agenda.
I mean, yeah, their agenda would be to construct a worldview that is most in accordance with empirical evidence.
Okay, and you and I just agreed that understanding, macroevolution has no bearings as to whether or not God set that in place, right?
Repeat that question one more time.
So if I were to say, okay, God initiated the process of macroevolution. Okay. And you'd say, well, what's your empirical data? Well, you don't have any empirical data that says otherwise, and neither do I. Both of us are coming from...
I don't have the empirical data that some other god created either.
Sure. What I'm saying is divinity is necessary. That's what I'm saying.
If you guys use too many big words, not everybody can throw in with you.
Okay. What words?
I don't know.
Macaroni?
I don't know. People were saying that there's too many big words.
Okay. But my point is, Alec, when we have these discussions, when I say we, I'm just talking about myself and atheists or agnostics. There's this idea that the guy in the lab is sort of this pure, objective android who's only looking for the truth and has no emotional connection to his view of the world. Meanwhile, the evangelicals are just these wild-eyed freaks who have nothing to do with logic and reason. All I'm saying is both of us have ultimate views of the world that cannot be proven or disproven in our grounding presupposition. And both of us have people that we want to influence toward that path. That's what I'm saying. So, for example, Alec, I homeschool my kids, right? But some of the local taxes that I pay go to a school that teaches a view of the world that's diametrically opposed to my view of the world. So should I be taxed in order to make that happen?
I mean, my ideas of taxation are a completely different topic because I don't like the current tax system, but then again, science exists to teach science. And if you have a problem with that, then you're free to support or encourage a nation that is dumbfounded in disbelief and does not employ science.
Well, I'm not saying anything against science. What did I say that was against science?
That you do not, that you implied or that you might not want your tax dollars funding science education.
Nope, that's not what I said. What I said was there are folks that have an agenda about a view of the world that is contradictory to mine that have nothing to do with science. So saying that a god or did...
Give me an example.
Saying that a god did or did not set off the process of evolution has nothing to do with science.
I mean, you can't walk into a high school classroom and expect to see them say, God did not do this. I mean, the question there is not asked.
doesn't?
Scientists don't.
I know that in my experience in school, it was brought up. The teacher prefaced, some people think God created the world, but, and then she went on to introduce to us a counter worldview.
Okay, but the thing is, counter worldviews doesn't really matter. Equal expression of worldviews doesn't matter in science. What matters is the analysis of empirical evidence.
Sure.
Not equality of opportunity.
No, I don't care about equality of opportunity. All I'm saying is that there's the data, and then there's how the data is interpreted, and that is determined by who the teacher is. So, like I said, I don't. When you say creationism as opposed to science, I'm not seeing it. If I tell my child about the eye or the way that the respiratory system works, and I say this is how it works and this is how God designed it, how is that against science?
So I'll just go back to the creation as an example, because, this is the more pertinent example. So when you state that the world is 6,000 years old, which is what the organization states to try to push, and with the intelligent design doctrine, even though you don't agree with that interpretation of Genesis, that has bearing on reality. And there's no evidence to suggest that the world is 6,000 years old. That is in contention with science.
Well, again, you keep going back to that. I've seen curricula that don't do that. That still teaches...
biological evolution does not occur, or has not occurred. There are no human ancestors.
Well, again, none of this stuff... So what you're trying to do is you're trying to define creationism in a very, very specific way, a way that I've already...
I didn't define it. The people who push for creationism define it as that, not me.
Well, no. There are different forms of creationism. I'm sure you know that.
The one being pushed forth in public schools is that one, that brand.
No, that's not the only one. It's the easiest one to set on fire. But what I'm talking...
Because it's by far the most...
Okay, that stuff I'm not a fan of. I don't like it. So let's get rid of that. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think the Earth is 6,000 years old. So let's agree that that's junk. But that still doesn't militate against the idea that the divine being put all this stuff into place. So when I ask you to define creationism, if you're going to define it by that very narrow perspective that goes against empirical data, then of course. But what I'm saying is that that's not an exhaustive dealing of the issue. That's what I'm saying.
It's the one that's most applicable to the everyday lives of people. If you want to state that, God for everything emotion, and go for it, I really don't care. It doesn't concern me at all. Or what you teach your kids does not concern me at all.
Okay, then we agree. Although it does concern me that my tax dollars are going to a public school that I don't use their services for.
Okay, and I don't like the current system either.
Yeah, I
think we need tax reform, but that's a completely different topic than pushing forth faith into science classrooms. I feel they're very disconnected.
Well, they're not disconnected to me. If you're talking about practical implications, that's a practical implication of a given view of the world. That's what I'm saying, Alec, is that you can't avoid that all of us, from whatever perspective we come from, have to have a grounding view of the world that is assumed and impossible to prove.
What do you mean impossible to prove?
Okay, we had this conversation before. How do you know that everything that we are observing now was exactly the way it was 10 trillion years ago?
Are you referring to uniformitarianism?
Yep.
Ask a geologist. I'm not one.
Well, you're much smarter than I am. I'm sure you've heard the argument a million times.
Not that many times. I work in biology. I don't work in geology. But all I know is that from what we've observed so far, we can assume that geological processes have occurred at the same rate, or that we can reliably predict the variance in those rates throughout history.
How do you know that they were at those rates a billion years ago?
Again, I don't study geology.
They assume it, don't they?
I don't know. I can't say yes or no. I don't study geology.
I've seen lots of debates on it, and they assume it. And my point in saying that is, if they don't, they have no basis by which to measure anything. So you have to assume it so that you have a ground to stand on and move forward. And that's my point. My point is, And look, are you saying that the geologist's discipline has no doesn't inform your discipline at all? Like they're completely in different universes. There's no overlap.
No, we'll inform biology to some degree, but not the branch of biology that I work in.
So the branch of biology that you work in is completely separate, and there are no geological implications to your particular discipline.
In my tiny little subdiscipline of biology, no. I work in proteomics. I study protein structures.
Okay. So what you're saying is, as far as the argument about uniformitarianism goes, you don't have enough data, but you assume that it's true.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Yes.
Okay. And that's something that you take on faith.
No, I've just seen no other reason to doubt modern geologists and the processes with which they come to their conclusions.
Well, it's
They have been effective thus far.
It's impossible for them to empirically come to a conclusion about something a billion years ago, isn't it?
Again, I don't study geology, but I mean, we've come to other conclusions from billions of years ago, to other means that have been correct, or at least thus far.
How in the world could you know they're correct if nobody was there to observe it?
You look at the data.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, I'll liken it to a murder case. So, if you didn't see a murder occur, I'll ask you the question, how do you figure out who committed a murder? You weren't there when it happened. It happened 20 years ago in a different state. But you're sitting on a jury, having to pour through the data.
My brother, in order for that analogy to work, nobody would have to be around on the planet aside from those two human beings. And then you'd have to put a space of, let's say, just to be generous, 300 years.
Okay.
Would anybody have any evidence to convict anybody in those circumstances?
Possibly. I don't know the full extent of the legal system.
Well, in the American legal system, it's beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt. And there's enough there for reasonable doubt.
All right, but I guess it's a good thing that, science reaches further than that, especially in physics.
Wait, say that again? You said that kind of quickly.
That science can reach further than 300 years, especially in regards to physics. If we want to talk about giant scales of time.
Yeah, and now we're like virtually deifying these guys. So they can reach back to 400 billion years ago with utmost accuracy.
Because the predictions thus far have been accurate.
No,
in accordance with reality.
The predictions thus far are based on things as they are now. So yeah, sure, you can make predictions now because that's the way that things are. What empirical data does anybody in any discipline have to say that the way that things operate now are exactly the same way that they operated a billion years ago?
What evidence do you have to suggest otherwise?
And therein lies the problem. What I'm saying is you're taking that by faith. And the reason that you're doing that is not because you want evolution or whatever to be true. It's because without it, you cannot reason rationally. This is what we have. This is the best of what we have. And so we're going to assume this so that we have some way to measure anything. But there's no way that you can definitively say that it was like that a billion years ago, Alec. It's impossible.
I mean, considering that it's been effective thus far, I would say that that's a pretty good testament.
What do you mean thus far? What is 2,000 or 3,000 years of human history in comparison to a billion years?
We know how. Okay, so I'll just refer to evolution because that's the most closest to what I work in. So evolution is by and large just the measurement of the frequency of allele variations over successive generations of organisms. So we know how allele frequencies change over populations because of selective pressures put onto those populations by the environment. We know that this stays constant, or that evolution tends to always occur because environments always change. We have all the evidence thus far to suggest that environments always change, which would in turn cause the allele frequencies to change, which in turn drives evolution. And there's no evidence to suggest that it does not happen. So you would have to assume a static environment.
No, you have to assume a static environment in order to measure anything. But look, observation, isn't that part of the scientific method?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was observing what happened a billion years ago?
No human.
Okay, no human was. That means that if I say that the way things are now, that we observe now, right? Because what you just told me is what scientists observe. I'm not disputing that. But what you have to say is what we're observing now and the way that pressures and all that good stuff that you just explained to us, that a billion years ago, it operated in the exact same way. And that is unobservable, which means that's a belief. That is not a fact, right?
Stating that you didn't observe it to occur does not mean that you cannot look at the evidence. You can observe the evidence that exists.
What I'm saying is, you have a belief that those things were applicable a billion years ago, just like they're applicable now, because you have not observed them, right?
Because if they were not applicable a billion years ago, we would not observe reality as we do today.
You don't know that. What if there are unknown variables that put us where we are now? Can you say that definitively?
Then if there were an unknown amount of variables or an infinite amount of variables, there would be no point in conducting science.
See, but that's my point. You're not making a statement to say I know this definitively. I'm just going to ask you a yes or no question, Alec, and then you answer me. Do you know definitively that the way that things are now are the way that they were a billion years ago?
Give me a more specific case. Like in what exact regard?
What you just explained about pressures and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So you know definitively. Say again?
For that specific thing, yeah.
How do you know that? You never observed that a billion years ago.
Because if environments did not exert selective pressures on organisms, the evolution would not occur back then, which means that we would not observe changes that we see today.
Okay, you're assuming that somebody didn't put evolution in place. So you're assuming there's no divine being. And so what you're saying is, in order for us to have life as we have it now, these had to come, these had to be consistent processes all throughout the universe. That's a belief statement, isn't it?
If I'm assuming that there was no Christian God that put in place, as I'm assuming that there was no Odin that put into place, because there is no evidence to suggest that either of those two deities put that into place.
Okay, so you're assuming that so what you're saying is something had to happen a billion years ago, in your case, uniformitarianism, to get us to where we are now. And I believe...
For biology, I want to call it uniformitarianism. I mean...
Yeah, but you just made a statement about what happened a billion years ago, even though you've never seen it, and your argument is, well, there's no other way for us to get where we are now. And my response to you is to say...
Gone, babe? Oh, no, somebody's calling him.
My response to you is to say, that is exactly the same argument that Christians make about God. That's my point.
I mean, I don't think an observable process that still occurs today is the same as a deity being assumed to exist.
No. What I'm saying is you're observing an insignificant slice of time and then trying to apply the principles of this slice of time to an unobservable reality a billion years ago. And no matter how much you want to avoid it, that is a faith claim. You have faith that things were always the way they were because you don't believe in a divine being. And because of that, you said it yourself, it's impossible for us to get to where we are otherwise. So basically what you just said is it's either uniformitarianism or a divine being.
The difference lies in the idea that it cannot perform as it does today back then, that we might be where we are today. We know like the rate at which mutations occur and how evolution functions and how selective pressures are applied to populations. But if those did not occur, we would not have the biodiversity that we have today.
It's not true. God could have set the whole thing in motion.
Any God could have done that. I mean,
I agree. Odin could have done that. My point is, you're because if you delete God from the equation, then you have to assume by faith some form of uniformitarianism, something that you could not observe a billion years ago. I don't know. I don't see any logical way out of it, and I don't know why you're denying it.
I mean, evidence is not faith.
Say again?
Evidence is not faith.
You have no evidence of what happened a billion years ago. Nobody does.
I mean, would you consider mathematics to be evidence.
What do you mean, would I consider mathematics to be evidence?
In the terms of physics, making predictions about what will occur and what has occurred.
Those physics equations are equations that are based on assumptions of what we observe now. And I'm not disputing that. What I'm disputing is, how do you know that what we're observing now definitively is exactly the same way that it was a billion years ago, when nobody was there to observe it?
So I'll just go ahead and answer this one more time. I think we need to move on because we're just not even past here.
I completely agree.
Because I view that the evidence that if it did not occur back then as it does now, we would not be where we are, or we could not have observed the way in which we have thus far.
Yeah, and I'm saying the same thing. Only we need a divine being. You're basically deifying uniformitarianism.
Because we don't make assumptions for divine beings in science.
Okay, you made an assumption. So you make assumptions for uniformitarianism in science.
Again, I don't work in geology, so I'm not going to speak to uniformitarianism.
Yeah, but I mean, it's obviously necessary. The conversation just demonstrated that. All right, I'll let you have the last word, buddy. Do we have any other callers? Mm-hmm. Was somebody calling and I almost hung up on him? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Alec's on the phone. Everybody knows how I feel about Alex. It's too bad. He gets what he gets. Tell him to call back.
The person shouldn't have called. They should have known.
He shouldn't have called back.
They should have known.
All right, Alec. We got other people calling. I'm going to let you have the last word, buddy.
I'm pretty much already said everything I need to say, so, we're good, I think.
All right. What were you having? Fish sticks?
No, chicken.
Yeah.
What was he having?
I was having some chicken tendies.
Seriously, you're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a surprise trip to Atlanta. If I show, do you live in an apartment or in a dorm?
I live in an apartment.
Hey, if I showed up at your dorm,
next to Georgia Tech.
If I showed up outside of your apartment, would you let me in the apartment, or would you call the police?
Well, I'll probably let you in once I know who you were. If not, then we're gonna have problems.
Oh, we got problems. He's gonna beat me up.
Or shoot you.
If Alec beat me up, I'd never come home.
Why?
You can't get beat up by a scientist. Alec,
yeah, he has tattoos.
Have you taken any self-defense courses, Alec?
I have a gun, and that's a self-defense course.
I told you. I said he'll shoot you. He'll shoot your ass.
Oh, man. You know what I thought? I thought, man, we'd get a lot of hits if Alec shot me.
No, Alec, you better not shoot him.
I won't.
All right, my brother. I love you, my man. We'll talk later.
All right, have a good night.
Cool. Okay, who called me?
I don't know. There's a bunch of people. M Death Fan really wants to talk.
What does M Death Fan want to talk to me about? Oh, I'm going to call him right back. Hold on.
How do you know that's him? Oh, there we go.
It's working. M Death Fan.
All right. He was really pushing hard.
What does he want to talk to me about?
I don't know. I like that we can see what these people look like.
M Death Fan, I'm calling you. Stop avoiding me.
Yeah. And cold cuts. Thank you.
Thank you, Cold Cuts. I appreciate you, my man.
If there's time, he'll take another go.
Religious Liberty Task Force. I am not a fan of the Religious Liberty Task Force at all.
Is it not? What's happening?
I don't know. He didn't want it with Vin.
He didn't want it with Vin.
Doug, look, Doug is unavailable. Doug, you're unavailable.
You were not supposed to say his name, babe. You keep doing this to people.
Call me again.
That's BS.
This is terrible.
Vin is a snitch.
All right, shut up, man. You're supposed to defend me. Well, they know. Oh gosh. Hey, M Death Fan.
Okay, 1 second. I gotta pause the live feed because you're like a little bit behind. Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone knows my name. I'm quite embarrassed.
We apologize for that.
It was sorry.
I think it's probably the greatest piece of streaming internet I've ever seen. So I'm not complaining.
What's up, my brother?
How you doing, man?
Good to talk to you.
You too, man. I was listening to your last interview. It was pretty interesting.
Which one? With Alec?
Yes, deists versus creationism versus evolution.
Yeah.
Which is always a great topic.
Well, it really wasn't. Yeah. So what's up, buddy? What do you got?
Nothing, man. I wanted to see what's going on. There was so much going on in the last hour. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, what do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus?
I wouldn't even attach that to some kind of religion. I would just say is there a God or not?
Okay, is there a God or not?
That's the question.
Is there a God?
Or not? Take all the religion away from it. Take what the day to day, I would always. I'm sorry. Me.
Oh. Doug, I don't know if you.
Zoe.
I don't know if you can hear us.
I've had enough. It's just not in the cards, Megadeth fan. I'm sorry, my man.
Vin, people are saying they can't trust you now. Oh my God. Oh, God. Oh, man. Okay.
All right. Is Dan still in the thing? Vin will.
Whoa. You know what? And you're usually so good at stuff.
I know.
Oh, man.
Hey. I promise I won't sell you out. Hello? Nobody wants to talk to me anymore.
Yeah, everybody's like, listen, if you need to talk, you can call Sori. I will keep your privacy.
Hello?
You should just ask them what their name is. What's happening?
Speaker's on. He will not answer. The government blocked your service.
The church must have grabbed up our man, Doug.
Would you stop saying the man's name?
Everybody's saying his name. What do you mean? Don't say it. R.I.P. Doug, a true legend. Thank you, Dame.
Hey. I can hear you. There's a lot of static, my man.
What's that?
There's a little bit of static.
Yeah, I'm on a USB mic, so you're gonna have to deal.
Okay, what do you got, big guy?
So first up, highly embarrassing. The IT tech forgot to unmute his microphone. My bad. But I basically wanted to just chime in with the couple of points on the simulation stuff. As you may have heard, I work in IT, so kind of this sphere of interest. So the key difference is a simulation in terms of IT is grounded in a series of...
My brother, I can't hear you, man. I'm very sorry.
Is that better?
Not at all.
Can you translate this call? I couldn't even hear him.
I'm very sorry, brothers and sisters. I'm sure it was going to be a good one. Sounds like Bertram's first album.
Oh my gosh. People are hilarious.
I know.
What they're saying. You guys are literally the
funniest people on the face of the earth.
I'm like,
I feel so bad.
Oh my God.
Maybe we can get him 10 points or something. We'll give him 10 points whether or not he's a patron.
You need to do something for the man.
Yeah.
Email us, vinandsori@gmail.com.
Unbelievable. Sound like someone's vacuuming.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Sounds like Korn's best album. Hello, Kyle. I appreciate it. It's good to be told that we rock.
We should just call this off and do some Megadeth reaction for Doug.
This is terrible. What a disaster. I'm usually very, very good at aliases. I kind of had to. Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Can't tell you how sorry I am.
I can't tell you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Religious Liberty Task Force is has anyone ever stumped you? Well, yeah, Sori stumps me all the time. The kids stump me.
Listen, the Loke says the next t-shirt should be a Doug tribute. I was literally just thinking, I wish I had something that we could write Doug on, and then, I don't know, somebody would win it. Maybe Doug could win it.
We'll do something for the... Email me, and I'll see if there's any way I can atone for my foolishness. God almighty.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Okay, somebody says this is actually more serious. Where did it go? It was basically, do people become gay or are they born like that? Well, we believe that people are born, everybody is born with their sin issues or issues and stuff like that.
It's obvious that people...
I think that people are born like that.
I mean, I don't know. When I was in high school, first of all, I don't know if I'm going to say that.
What?
When I was in high school, literally, like, from 10th grade to 11th grade, we had summer vacation, we came back, all the girls all of a sudden were gay or bi.
Yeah.
And then it was the strangest thing. At senior year, very few of them were gay or bi. And it just seemed like they were experimenting. Mm-hmm. They kind of came into a certain kind of, like, consciousness, like, oh, this is an option. So they were walking around saying that they were gay or bi. But then, by the time of high school, by the time of 12th grade, they weren't.
Yeah.
And then, but the guys that were gay that were in our crew, they were gay, period, like from 9th grade to 12th grade. Mm-hmm. And, we had to make sure that they were okay because, how it was in the inner city with gay people. And, mm-hmm. We had this kid, Rashawn, that we had to pretty much have the guy on. We literally had to walk the kid to class.
Jeez.
Because people were always coming after him. So, like, my point is, like, the girls were, like, more free to experiment and stuff and come out and say that they were whatever. But the guys, if you were a dude and you said you were gay, you were fucking gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they were, like, and if they could have changed it, believe me, they would have, because their lives were literally in danger.
Yikes.
And if it wasn't for us, I mean, I'm not saying we saved them or anything like that, as far as, like, but we did protect them because those were our people. Mm-hmm. But, so, I mean, I don't know what that means. I mean, I have, all I'm saying is, like, that's why I believe that people are born gay, because, like, from my experiences, those guys, if it was something they could have just say, oh, it's a phase or whatever.
Yeah, they would have.
They would have. Whereas I do think there's also, Kinsey, I don't really talk to you a lot about Kinsey, but Kinsey basically has a scale, and he basically says, there's a small population that's, like, irreversibly straight and a small population that's irreversibly gay.
Yeah, and then everybody else is,
most people are on a spectrum, and I'm probably there. Because that's what I saw. Mm-hmm. I saw, like, okay, Rashawn, he's, like, I think he's irreversibly gay, right? But then you had the girls that were just like, oh, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And then afterward, they're like, nah. Mm-hmm. Like, the guys weren't doing that.
Wow, okay.
So I don't know what that means. There you go. Kinsey was a lunatic pedophile. Well, I disagree with the majority of what he said, but I do think that scale is probably accurate. So there you are. Thoughts on Kenneth McKenna's stoned ape thingy theory? Do you think guys are less likely to experiment with other guys with the expectation to be tough and macho? All I know is where I came from. So where I came from, especially the black community, I think Tina was talking to us about this. We'll release that discussion. Tina, Sori, Dirk, and I had a discussion in depth about not necessarily gay issues, but trans issues. Where I came from in the hood, you could not, like, experimenting with that stuff had nothing, like, that's your life. Mm-hmm. Like, if they didn't kill you, they damn well made it so that you'd want to kill yourself. Let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. So it's not. I'm agreeing with you, Leah, but it's like beyond machismo. It's like, I don't know. I can't figure it out. Like, people were threatened by gay men in the hood. They were. When I say threatened, I mean they were very violent and very. It was very unforgiving. I mean, late 90s, early 2000s. Jeez. I mean, they were in danger. So, yeah. Flanagan, what do you want to call about? Question, is it better to think that there is no God or to think that there could be a God, not he is a terrible being? Rephrase that question because I'm not particularly sure of what you're talking about. Maybe they're threatened because of their own sexual insecurities. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what it is about the black community that and where I came from in Jamaica. I mean, they used to kill them. I mean, I took a trip. I had a trip to Jamaica a couple of years ago, and I saw a billboard that basically said, "Don't kill gay people." And it's like, this is progress in 2016. Like, okay, like now we're saying don't kill them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm not particularly sure what is it about being a black person that makes us that hostile toward gay, homosexuality. I mean, Tina's right. Like, a lot of that shit happens on the down low. For sure. Anthony Flanagan. Okay. Anthony, his actual name is there, so I can use his name.
Okay.
Is this the So Anthony, hit us up, Vin and Sori on Twitter.
On Twitter?
I mean, what do you call that thing? Skype. Are the blood curses in the Bible the same as reincarnation? No. Well, let me pull back. I don't know what you mean by blood curses. Let me say it that way. Ron, Ron's my good friend. Ron is our resident. He hates Christianity. He hates it. I think he like half hates me just because I'm a Christian.
Really? Is that true, Ron?
Yeah, Ron.
I don't believe that about Ron.
Yeah, he's
you hate us?
Oh yeah, he does. For sure.
Yikes. Hey, I wanted to. This person keeps asking, can you tell a story about the teenage life of Jesus, Vin?
No. There's nothing in the Bible about the teenage life of Jesus.
There's only the story when he went to in that he might not have been a teenager, right?
Well, he was 12. Don't have Skype. Okay. Flanagan, email us your phone number, and I'll make sure to say it on the stream.
Yeah.
Because your name is already visible, so we need more of your personal...
Right. You can... Love you, Vin. See, Ron loves you.
Yeah, he loves me.
Yeah.
But he does hate Christianity, for sure. Ask him.
You said he hates Christians, I thought. And I said, that means he hates us? I said, I don't believe that's such a thing about Ron.
As black people, we have relied on surviving a process that calls heterosexual connections and reproduction to secure our people. LGBT would be less valuable to an already struggling people. Well, then you'd expect that to happen among Native American populations and among other people struggling for survival. As a matter of fact, Native American populations do worse in America than blacks. So why aren't they? Yeah, I'm not sure that answers that question, my man. Christians to the lions.
Okay, so one person says, I heard in the old Bible Jesus and a child were playing on a Sabbath and Jesus killed the kid. No joke. Yeah, that's not true. And why would the teenage years be left out?
Because they're not relevant. Oh, that's interesting. I never heard of that before. Ouija boards are just your subconscious moving the planchette. Interesting. What?
The Bible doesn't say anything about Jesus' teenage years, but does the Bible say anything about Doug's teenage years?
You guys are the worst people on the planet. Terrible. What do you think about God dividing people by making them speak different languages? I think that says something extremely important about God and what his priorities are. For sure.
Mandy, I got told on another YouTube video to slit my own throat because I'm a lesbian. Seriously, we were talking about this the other night. Like,
that's insane.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, people are extremely, extremely hateful. You know, we were talking to Tina, and she said, you know, how do you think it got to the point where trans people are fighting for legislation about gendering and all that stuff? And she's like, because we have to survive, damn it. You know? Hey, Ashley Collins, how are you doing?
We're probably going to do a thing on that.
What?
Gay, lesbian, like some discussion.
Yeah, and how to relate to the church, yeah.
Yeah, and how to relate to the church, yeah.
But, Mandy, people are really evil on the internet, man. They really, really are.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a pretty crazy situation we live in.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Nexus. Nexus is right. The bandana is back. Should mayonnaise be our national bird? Alec, I hate your guts, and I hope that a jar of mayonnaise spills on your floor, you slip, break your arm, and stuff. Right before your favorite concert. That's pretty exhaustive.
There's a meal that I cook for Vin that has mayonnaise in it, and it's one of his favorites, but he doesn't know there's mayonnaise in it.
You're such a liar. You are such a terrible liar.
Do you want me to tell you what dish it is?
Say wallahi.
Do you want me to tell you what...
Say wallahi.
Do you want me to tell you what dish it is?
That's it. Vin, who created God? You know, that's one of those questions where it's like, if someone created God, then that being would be God. So it doesn't prove the point you're trying to make. Right?
I'll tell you this.
You don't cook anything that has any freaking mayonnaise.
There is something that I cook for you that has sour cream in it.
There's nothing that has mayonnaise in it.
No, but it has sour cream.
Okay, stop lying to the good people of our village.
I was winking at them. They knew before you did.
Okay, I'm going to call Anthony Flanagan
wait, I'll help you out with this.
No, there's no need. Go ahead. Deviled eggs. I don't eat deviled eggs, sir, ma'am. Green bean casserole. Don't do that either.
He's very particular. But he loves him some grill.
I'm going to Slayer this Friday. Don't say that. Well, make sure that you stop talking about mayonnaise, sir. Sori would not lie.
He's got Anthony, you have to take off your... It's blocking us from calling you. You have to, whatever privacy settings you have to take those off. Or get a hold of us through Skype.
Moshmaster, pizza and anchovies.
Yep, calling restrictions.
Then you'll be getting mayonnaise in the mail very soon.
Just make sure that it's Hellman so I can actually use it. Bye, Osiris. Vin, did you see my question?
What was your question?
I don't know. How's your weekend been? They said that your white corpse paint will be mayonnaise.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Becky, you make me argue with my monitor.
Yeah, she said that. Like, what is she talking about?
When she's watching our shows, she'll be like, no, whoa! Yelling back at us. Yes, we have a P.O. Box. Vin and Sori. P.O. Box 7024, Lewiston, Maine 04243.
Son of a bitch. Look, Alex,
Are you serious, Alex?
Going to Slayer.
Alec, when are you going? Slayer? Oh.
You gotta take me with you, brother. We're supposed to be brothers, my man.
How many people's he going with? 4?
Please stop reacting to Ghost. Well, you know that we do either Metallica or Ghost on Mondays. You know that. Okay. Majestic Demon Lord has fixed his microphone. So call us back then, sir.
I'm glad Sori is lightened up. In old videos, she would stare at the camera accusingly during songs. Like, you like this? This is the message you approve of? Shame. LOL. No, it was more I was just uncomfortable to be on the camera, and I didn't know what was expected of me. And then Vin would always say at the end, he wanted me to say Sori out, but I would forget. And there was all this pressure because I wanted to be perfect.
Sori is like the biggest perfectionist of all time. It's insane.
And then it makes it so I can't even do mildly well at something.
And now you guys see what an amazing person she is. Hey, buddy.
Is that better? Hey. Okay. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you great. Everybody can hear you now. What's your name again?
Majestic Demon Lord, and don't you forget it.
Okay. Okay.
It's all good. I work in IT, so I'm a little bit tetchy about privacy.
Sure.
Kind of comes with the job. And IT was the reason I wanted to have a chat about simulation theory.
Okay.
You know, kind of a professional interest. So to answer the question of what's the difference between a God-bounded system and a simulation system, we'll probably get into an argument of semantics, but quite simply, a simulation, and whether we go with super complex, conscious aware, matrix style simulation, or the most basic simulation that we can run currently, is bounded within a series of rules. The rules are immutable. So if we assume our little kid in the basement, who's got full administrative rights on a system, he can do many things, but he can't stop a computer being a computer. That's fundamentally impossible. Whereas a god, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, can do that. And I think that's the fundamental difference in belief. Now, it's a very, very soft difference because to the user on a system, the administrator appears as a god. They can see everything, do everything, etc., etc. So it's a very semantics difference. But I think it is a difference worth noting.
Well, I agree with you. There is a difference. I also appreciate you saying that it's a very nuanced difference. And my point is, my point in broaching the original question was, and not many atheists in the village, but there are a lot of atheists that will.
I've won.
Well, no, hold on. Let me finish the sentence. I know that you're claiming you're an atheist. See, that's my presupposition.
I know.
Are we about to get Jordan Peterson on this shit?
No. But what I'm saying is the posture of this mocking sort of, ha, 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 you believe in a guy in the sky who, and while at the same time believing a 7-year-old kid in a basement on the planet Xenon is running 8 billion self-aware individuals in a simulation. That is believable.
It's okay.
But the idea that there is a divine being or a divine intelligence or a first consciousness or an uncaused first cause, That's just ridiculous. But a kid in his basement managing 8 billion people who are self-aware, that's completely rational.
So, just for the record, I don't believe in simulation theory. Just so that we're clear, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I'm not saying that you do. I'm saying, do you see my point?
I see it, but I actually disagree with it slightly. So, if I was to take a computer of today, so computer that everyone has access to, and take it back to a Victorian era, and show them the capability and the simulation capability, that would be as unbelievable to them as the statement that you're making. That
no, it wouldn't.
To a degree, I think it would.
You know why? Because what you're saying is that these individuals have found a way to artificially create self-awareness.
See, that conversation is one where, to be honest, we don't understand consciousness. We don't understand consciousness, and I sure as shit don't. Language.
I don't give a fuck about your language, bro.
Oh yeah, no, but one tries to be polite. Even us despicable atheist types. But the point there is that once you have found a way to program something that simulates consciousness, and how would you tell the difference between a simulated consciousness and actual consciousness? There's another quandary. But once you can do it once, replication is simply a matter of computer processing power.
I agree 10 trillion% with you. Here's the problem. We've never even come remotely close to it.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that point, but in terms of machine learning and AI, so there's a game, Flappy Bird, for example, you may have heard of it, which, using machine learning, a machine has been able to successfully play the game and win. That's something that I would say in the field of IT at least 15 to 20 years ago would be considered science fiction, a computer playing a game and winning, not by the lazy AI that we used to have in games where I'll use racing games as an example, where every car drove the same speed and went round the corner at the same speed, but actually there's a video on YouTube if you're interested where it shows you the process. So it starts off by the computer effectively losing the game, and you run it through, I think it's something like 200,000 iterations, and the computer learns to play the game. That's something 20 years ago was science fiction.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it wasn't science fiction like out of this world science fiction. It was just a matter of upgrading our already present technology. Self-awareness is something completely different.
Oh, for sure, and I wouldn't try and make that argument, but okay. I'm saying if we knew what consciousness was, and we don't, but then there is the potential that we could code for it, and then, as I said, how would you tell between an artificially created consciousness and consciousness?
Isn't it true that the only thing we've ever observed is that consciousness begets consciousness? Isn't that true?
As I said, consciousness is one of those things that I know relatively little about. So I'll be polite and I'll say, I'll defer to your statement. How about that?
Okay, fair. So if it's the case that if it's right that we've only observed that consciousness begets consciousness, doesn't it logically necessitate that there was an original consciousness?
That's a leap that I don't think that you can make given the information that we lack.
No, I'm saying
that's an honest answer I can give.
Based on what we observed, if you're saying that only consciousness begets consciousness, and we have consciousness, doesn't that necessitate that there was an original consciousness?
Define original consciousness, because you could also say that there was a consciousness evolved from lower forms of proto-self-awareness.
Well,
this is not my field of experience.
We've never seen this proto-self-awareness.
I would say in some animals you could make a case for it. For example, I think it's dolphins and chimpanzees can recognize themselves in a mirror. But would we say they have full human consciousness? Again, this is not my field of expertise. I was more talking about the IT side of things.
Yeah, well, you don't believe that rocks beget consciousness.
No, I think that the process to get there, first you need a self-replicating molecule, and then orders of complexity, etc., so on and so forth.
Well, which molecule creates consciousness?
The same one that created the DNA.
Which one? so, okay, let me say it this way. If I were to say that all we've observed in real life is that consciousness begets consciousness, and therefore it is a logical necessity that there was an original consciousness, you're not saying that that's a really stupid, ignorant, crazy idea, are you? Like, you might say that if you thought it through in a nuanced way, there might be some issue there, but you're not saying that only a crazy person would believe that.
I'm saying the only thing that I'll definitively say is I don't know enough about consciousness to make that statement. I know it's a bit of a cop-out. I appreciate that. But there's a logic to it. I can see your logic.
That's a massive cop-out, my friend.
I freely admit that consciousness is not a field I'm familiar with, except for, I wake up and occasionally lose it when I drink. That's about...
No, hold on. I want you to focus, because what I'm saying is very nuanced. If a person were to say, based on what we've observed, the only way that a conscious being comes into existence is if a previous conscious being brings it into existence. And based on that observation, we conclude that there was an original consciousness. Now, whether or not you disagree with that next logical leap, you're not saying that that's an irrational position to take, are you?
That in of itself, I wouldn't say is irrational. Where the irrationality for me as an atheist comes in is when you ascribe to that original consciousness the properties of omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. That I think is the irrationality.
That's a separate question. That's a separate question. So what you're saying is that an original consciousness is not an irrational thing to believe. And based on the data that we have now, it's actually quite rational, isn't it?
Again, I wouldn't go that far because I don't know when it comes to consciousness.
No, I'm not saying divinity. I'm just saying, rationally speaking, that's a rational position to take to explain how we came about to have consciousness.
I think, it's rational, but again, there's big holes large enough to drive the U.S. Pacific Fleet through.
Really? Tell me one of them.
Well, again, you're making a number of assumptions. It's like it's effectively the chicken and the egg argument. Which came first, chicken, egg, etc., etc.?
I'm not making a chicken or the egg argument at all.
Well, you kind of are, because if I was to replace the word conscious, it's to make a chicken, you need chicken, right? For conscious, you need consciousness. If we take the evolutionary viewpoint, you have a proto-chicken and a quasi-chicken and purple sludge, whatever. I think that you could make a similar case from an evolutionary perspective, but again, big caveats being, consciousness is not my field of expertise.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody can reason logically and put a decent syllogism together.
True, but the thing is, like, okay, if I was to use an IT example, because this is something I've experienced from users, is they look at a PC and they'll say, that's the hard drive, and when I press the on button, my screen comes on, ergo, that's the hard drive. And it's like, no, because there's a whole bunch of things happening behind that you are, for lack of a better term, ignorant to, which makes it all work. Now, you could make an argument based on, as you say, what you observe and what we know, but I know that that's not correct, which is why I'm saying that my lack of knowledge prevents me from going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, my only point was to say we have to think twice before we scoff at the idea of God when the concept of consciousness is brought into the equation, considering the information that we have. It's not that simple. That was my only point.
Which is a fair point, and I will admit, having listened to Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris's discussion on consciousness, it's been like, that's very interesting. Not my personal interest, but yeah, that I think for the simulation question, for me as an IT person, it's the limits of rules versus the no limits of the supernatural, which is where I draw the distinction.
No, that makes logical sense. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
I was going to say, I'll jump off the line just before I disappear. Really good work, guys. I've really enjoyed your channel. I'm a member of the village, so plug. There's a bug for those that want to know that for the review thing, it doesn't currently limit you, so you can vote on your own entry multiple times, so you should fix that, because I noticed it, because I work in IT.
Curse you!
I've got a ton of stuff that I'd love for you to review, but I'll give you 3 that I think you should review.
Okay.
Deliverance by Opeth, simply because I'm a drummer and the outro is just drum sex. It's lovely. Phobophile by Cryptopsy. You'll not find the lyrics for it, but it's chaotic wonderfulness. And the last one, Unos, Slayer of the Gods by Nile, because if you're familiar with Egyptian mythology, it tells of the cannibal hymn on the funerary text in the pyramids, and it's amazing. They're all long songs, and I think you'd love it.
Nice. Deliverance is definitely up there on the list for Opeth. I famously did Opeth 3 months ago, and we never did it again. So that's got to come pretty soon.
Well, when I watched your review of Opeth, it was so lovely to see Sori experience it and get into the groove of that almost transcendent mindset that we get into when we listen to music. Watching her experience, it was like when I first heard Opeth for the same time. It was lovely to see.
Oh, cool! I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. That transcendent, completely, purely naturalistic moment that have nothing to do with the divine.
I knew you were going to pull that card when I used that
word. All right, my brother. I love you, man. We'll talk soon.
Take care. See you.
Have a good one. Here, Leah, she's like, I'm one of the people not missing Opeth at all. At all. It's time for our walk. All right, y'all. It is time for our walk. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to the big homie, Doug. I'm sorry, my brother. Demon Lord, Alec. Can't forget Alec. Who else? Cold Cuts was calling me.
Yeah.
I think that was everybody.
Yeah, we had to try. Other people were trying to call him, but it just wasn't working.
May Doug be with you.
It wasn't in the calls.
We're working on August. So in August, we're going to shoot an update video for the following: the Pink Floyd reviews, the movie night, and the Bible study. So I think 2 out of 3 of those are open to everybody. I think the movie night is
These people are so fun. Damien Sage, time for Sori to roll Vin, no legs. I put him in a chair. Oh man!
If you're on Patreon and you saw True Cult Chronicles Volume 1, you will see that I clearly have legs. You sons of bitches.
Why do you want them to know that so badly? Is that important to you? Oh man, you don't have legs, Vin. People. It's true. You always send me to do this stuff. Hey, babe, what about that over there? Hey, babe, what about that over there?
I sent you a message on Patreon. Please read.
You remember that show, that movie that we went to see? And remember, like, wow, who is that guy that, like, the Punisher?
Yeah.
And remember, like, he had those small little legs? Remember when he was sitting on the couch with that older lady and his legs were growing back because he had been blown off or something?
I don't know what you're talking about, babe.
Remember we went to see that movie? It was like one of those... What?
Here we go. Anthony King.
I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about.
Hold on, Anthony King he had a question.
Yes, well. It's the end of the night. Deadpool, yes, thank you. That's what it was. That's what Vin has, those little legs.
That's good.
Somebody needs to make a meme with Tina.
Oh, boy.
Wait, he didn't have any pants on at that part. Well, give him a little leaf or something. In Doug we trust, but not in Vin. They think I'm 24. If you guys saw me in real life, maybe you'd see my... So I lived that sheltered life. I wasn't even let out in the sunlight. I'm just kidding.
Actually, okay. So, I will answer one more question. So, I referenced Gosnell in the Slayer video.
Okay.
So Gosnell was just terrible stuff. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go into the details, but if you just Google Gosnell, Gosnell, or you go to YouTube and type Gosnell. There's an 1.5-hour documentary. One of our brothers, Anthony, saw the documentary, and it just brought up the question of human suffering and what the hell is the purpose if there's a sovereign God who, if you believe that there's a sovereign God who has a plan, but there's a lot of senseless killing happening, or just, the Holocaust, things like that. How do you reconcile that?
Mm-hmm. Which is a question that people have asked for a while.
So there's a lot of very challenging question, and I was debating about whether or not I was going to answer it, but I feel like I need to answer it. So the first thing is that it all depends on what you think God's ultimate endgame is, right? So if and how you define good in the ultimate capital G sense. As far as I know about God, I've been walking with him since my conscious. Speaking of conscious, I've never had a consciousness apart from a consciousness of God. But as far as I can tell now from my walk with him, is the ultimate good of God seems to be to give himself to us in all the different facets of what that means. And so, for example, and I don't even think that this is going to be a satisfactory answer. As a matter of fact, I think that it's probably going to open up more upsetting questions than answers, but here we are. I think ultimately what that means is, like, for example, Adam and Eve, before they sinned, they knew God as creator, but they didn't know God's unconditional love because they hadn't broken any conditions. So in order for you to experience unconditional love, conditions have to be broken. So I think goodness as a principle is a divine attribute, like omniscience or omnipotence. So omni-goodness, being good and staying good, I think is a divine attribute. So I think what God does in creation is there are some beings that he injects with consistent goodness, like the good angels, right? They're just good all the time and they never sin. I don't think that that's because they're awesome. I think it's because God is giving them a constant flow of good. Then you say to yourself, well, then what the hell happened in the garden? Why didn't he just inject Adam and Eve with a constant flow of good? And I think the answer to that is because there were aspects of his nature that he wanted Adam and Eve to experience that could not have happened otherwise without them sinning. Namely, his love, his redemption, that type of thing. If you ask anybody who's ever really walked with God, the thing that brings them to tears the most is the unconditional nature of how he loves us. If you can accept it.
Yeah.
Of course, some of us are better at accepting it than others. But in order for you to experience that unconditionality, you have to experience sinning and breaking the conditions of the relationship. So that's one aspect, is that the ultimate good is to know God and know God in all that he is, which also means that you're not going to experience the love of God completely unless you screw up, and he says, you're screwed up, but I forgive you. And then the ultimate would be I forgive you this much, and Jesus dies on the cross for your sin. So that answers some of the question, but then when you look at the level of brutality in something like the Holocaust or Joseph Mengele, and you know, some people were bringing up Japan and the experiments that the Japanese were bringing up, and my friend was talking about Gosnell and all the evil shit that he did to defenseless little children. It comes to, okay, well, why the degree of the suffering, though? Because I can understand screwing up and then God saying, hey, I love you unconditionally, like you stole from the cookie jar. Why does it have to be, sliced throats and ISIS videos and people being hacked to pieces in a Viking raid? And I think some of that has to do with a couple things. One, if you have any semblance of the ability to choose, things like that are going to happen. That's number one. Because when you combine our bent towards badness and then you combine that with freedom, then that's going to happen. Number two, I've come to the conclusion that when Jesus dies on the cross, and he dies in the most brutal fashion possible, when it says he was beaten beyond human recognition in Isaiah 52:13, that God is saying that the worst that humanity has to offer, he endured himself alongside with us. And suffering creates a sort of binding of human souls, right? Yeah. And so, like, for example, all of us are in this community right now because we love metal. Well, almost 100% of the people that I've ever met that have loved metal have gone through some horrible situation. So there's a sense in which all the evil, fucked up shit that happened to us in our lives literally brought us to this moment right now when we're all talking to each other. There's 182 people in this room, a lot of pain in every single soul. And that's where we relate to each other. And then when you think about like the Black Metal Alliance and the other alliances that happen, that you get a real sense of, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you too. And so there is a sense in which suffering is brought into the world for us to know God, but also for us to love one another, because there's something about that binds people together. Even like people you don't understand, like mosh pits, like these kids are like running into each other and slamming each other, and bloody noses in this, and at the end of it they're hugging it out and all the rest of it. Like, what's going on there? And there's an expression of like, we're taking part in each other's pain in a way that outsiders don't understand. And so I think that's another reason that we suffer, is because God has a very simple rule: love me, right? And the way that you love God is to know God, right? And we just talked about that. And then love each other. And I think that there's nothing that brings people closer together than mutual suffering. And then what it does is, after you've had that collective mutual suffering, you say, we're going to make sure that the next generation doesn't do this, because none of us wants to listen to God, just period. Love your neighbor. Okay, bah. But then when we see the ramifications of what happens when you don't love your neighbor, what we do to each other, we say, okay, the next generation. So like when we got out of the 20th century, we saw what happened in the gulags. We saw what happened in the concentration camps. We said never again. And so you progress collectively as a collective human consciousness toward loving neighbor as self, because the more and more we advance in all our technology and all the other shit that we have, everybody eventually becomes to realize that if we don't love each other and take care of each other, we're going to fucking kill each other. And so I think that that's also part of the reason that God allows human suffering, because we won't voluntarily love one another until we see what happens when we don't. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, probably not a satisfactory solution, but that's what works for me. And for me personally, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about some aspect of the cross and Jesus's death and what that means, especially from a biblical perspective, because what we're saying is God came down and did that. And so it's extremely convenient to have a God that can say, I know, right, and mean it. So there you go. That's my pathetic attempt at trying to explain probably something that's inexplicable. There you go, Anthony. Much love, big guy.
You just said someone's name again.
Oh, that's okay, because his name was Anthony in the thingy.
All right,
good. All right. Yes, we do need to see comfortably numb in, what do you call it? All right, guys. Thank you, Jonathan Levitt. I appreciate you, my man.
Thank you to all our super chatters.
Thank you for all this. Yeah, thank you for all the super chatters. We really, really appreciate it. We love you guys. And now, Sori and I are going for our walk. We will not give up. We're actually going to increase what we're doing. Once we go full time, we're going to actually have more time with you guys. So, literally, when I say that we're just getting started, we're really just getting started. This is going to happen more and more and more. And it's going to, because,
there's a lot of thoughts in that dome.
Yeah, we got tons of ideas. So we're very, very, very happy. Don't forget your prosthetics. Look.
Don't worry, I'll hook him up.
People going for your walk.
Yep. Yep. For your stroll, for your roll.
It's going to be cool, like, when we go to different states and stuff to hang out with people.
Uh-huh.
Credits to the big homie Kevin. Oh yeah, Kevin called us too. Doug, email us, man, and we'll find a way to remunerate you for your pain and suffering. God almighty. Seriously, email us, vinandsori@gmail.com. We'll figure something out.
We'll send you a shirt, and then you can take a picture of it, and we'll announce you as Doug.
Yeah, well,
so then they can see what you look like as well.
I'm arrogant enough to think that the guy really wants a shirt. Like, who cares about the shirt?
You want to rent my legs, Tina says. All right. Good night, guys.
No, we're not going to...
No, I think he left the chat, too. I think that was it.
All right, Alec. We'll talk about consciousness next. I don't know what the next topic is going to be, but it's coming soon. Love you guys.
You going to say Vin out?
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Dedicate